All right, Jon, we are live. So good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jon Nerrill, and I want to welcome you to my weekly Facebook Live show. Today is show number 86, and I want to welcome to the show Dr. Jon Porman, who is going to talk to us today about how to be legendary. Jon, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Love to be here.
Thank you so much. So Jon is a coach and a speaker and a doctor, and we got connected in a really interesting way. And so big shout out to Orly Moore, because Orly is our business coach for public speaking. And about 10 months ago, Jon reached out to me on a phone call because he's like, hey, I understand you're a client of Orly's. I'd love to talk to you about, what the work has been like and hiring her. And so I called him and I said, hey, I'm happy to talk to you. I just want to let you know that I happen to be in North Carolina and I'm at the ER with my best friend who's at his back. So, when you're waiting to have your best friend taken care of and he's doing okay and resting, you go outside the ER and you have a conversation and you make a new friend, which I did with Jon.
We did.
So fast forward about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I get a text from Jon, and this time I'm the one in the ER, and thankfully everything is all good. It was just a little scare, nothing to worry about. But I texted him the next day and I was like, Jon, what the heck is it with you always calling me when I'm at the ER? And this time I was the one in there. And right away you pick up the phone and you call me and you're like, dude, I just want to make sure you're okay. So we had
weird.
Yeah, I know. It was totally weird, right? Like you had that idea where I was. So we had a conversation and we got talking, and at the end of that phone call, I invited him to be on the show, and you will find out why in a few minutes, why he is a guest on the show, because how he shows up in his work and in his life and in his relationships is a message that I wanted you to hear today. So Jon, I almost actually thought about broadcasting this live from the parking lot of the local hospital, but I decided against it.
That would be good. Yeah, that'd be appropriate.
So it's really, really glad to have you here. Thanks again.
Well, third time's a charm, Jon.
Third time's a charm. Absolutely. So, hey, let's just jump right into this. And if you would, for everybody that's watching today live or on the replay, just give us a little introduction and tell us who you are.
So I've been a chiropractor for 25 years. In that realm, I started out just doing the physical stuff. And then I went to a seminar where this guy was like working on all these people with lasers at a laser seminar. And so I said to him on a break, hey, do you think you could help me? Because I've had back pain for like 20 years. Because to go back a little bit, when I was 15 years old, my sister got killed in a car accident. And so I saw my sister in the morgue. And the next year I got speared in football in my back. And so for that point, for the next 20 years, I had back pain. So I'm at this seminar saying, hey, you've helped all these other people. He goes, that's not going to help you. I'm like, well, why am I here? Why am I looking to spend $15,000 for a laser? And he says, well, are you open-minded? I'm like, sure. And so I lay down and he has me start tapping on different points, which at the time I didn't know what it was, but it was emotional freedom technique. And then he finds the right phrase. And the phrase was, as long as you have back pain, you won't forget about your sister, Cindy. And I broke down crying. 5 minutes later, which felt like an hour, I had no back pain. And I'm like, wow, what am I missing here? There's this emotional component to patients' health that I'm not getting to. So for the last 23 and a half years, I've been doing more of the emotional along with the physical, and then we've expanded now into the brain stuff. And so we're doing lots of brain work with people. So that's kind of my story, is that, when my sister passed and we had the viewing for her, we had prostitutes and alcoholics and homeless people and drug addicts coming to the funeral because they wanted to pay their last respects and tell me stories of how she had helped them. I mean, you got to understand, my sister worked at Dunkin' Donuts. She had no money. So she was lending the car. She was giving them money. She was buying them clothes. She was taking them to their meetings and stuff. And I went, that's what I want to be in this life. I want to be a beacon and a guide that my sister was for these people. And that's what I've done for the last 25 years of my practice. And I'll continue to do. I've found my calling. This is not a job. It's not work. It's my calling. It's what I'm meant to do on this earth. So.
And what a great way to honor her in all of this too.
Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Yeah. Right. Because it's here. Right. Yeah, it's here. So we talk about, you and I had prepped a little bit, and we talked about these 3 tenets that you live your life by. And so I'd love for you to share them with everybody. And the first one was just about being legendary. So
Yeah.
tell us more
Well,
about that.
okay, so like I'm wearing a shirt, a Nike shirt, and the slogan is with the swoosh is to just do it. The problem with that is it denotes the bare minimum. It's like when I say, I give you something, John, and you said, hey, thanks a lot for doing that for me. I really appreciate that. And I say, that's the least I could do. Well, why would I do the least I could do? Why wouldn't I do the most I could do for you? Why would I do the least? Or why would I give bare minimum effort? All of our patients have our cell phone number. My wife and I work in our clinic together. She's a physical therapist and a massage therapist. And our point is that if we want to treat you, then that's because we love you. And if we love you, then we should give you our phone number. And we've never had anybody abuse it, because we want to be there so that you know that you can get a hold of us or your family members. If someone across the country has a question, they give them our phone number and we help them out the best we can, or try to put them in the right direction to help them with their health issues. And that's what being legendary is. It's not doing average. It's not just showing up. It's about how do you show up. So we talk to our patients about, healthcare is not about going from A to B, or if I'm coaching, it's not about going from A to B. It's how do I get from A to B? Because there's lots of ways to get there. And so it's how do I show up? Not do I show up? Because showing up is, okay, that's half the battle. But then how do you show up when you show up? And for us, it's giving the very best you can. And when you look at the patient, you see your wife, your grandma, your mom, Jesus, whoever you see, but you see someone that means something to you, as opposed to you see a number, you see dollar signs, you see, a vacation, like whatever it is. You have to find your calling. There's too many people that are in jobs or go to work and they don't find their calling in this life because of, I can't afford to, I'm scared, those kind of things. And so that's what I mean by being legendary is be everything you are meant to be on this earth, as opposed to being the bare minimum. Be the most you can possibly be, not the least.
And I love that, particularly because those are not only heartfelt, but they're what I like to say, they're ground rules, right? So when we show up, they're the ground rules that you set for how you choose to show up. And once we set those ground rules are unwavering, right?
Correct.
Every day, you and your wife, you show up in that kind of way to best serve the people with whom you interact with day in and day out.
Yeah, and there's times that we come to the clinic and we're not whole. Yeah. And so what we do is we ground ourselves. We say, before we step in, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be there and be there for them, not worry about the stuff that we have going on in our life. If something's not going the way, we had wanted to create it, but we created it. So we stop, we reflect, we drop into a meditative state, might take 15 seconds. And then we go and we serve our people, because it's really what we do. Everything is of service. Mm-hmm. Everything everyone does in life, you're serving other people. If you don't think that way, then I think you're thinking about the wrong way, because you're there to serve them. If you're there to serve them, then it actually will end up serving you in the long run. But that's what we do is, we're looking at how can we show up best for our patients, our clients, our friends.
Nice. So now that you've kind of laid the groundwork for about being legendary, Jon, what does it mean to you to be led?
Another good one. So people say, that they follow this guy or they follow that guy or this gal. The problem with that is again, to me, that denotes that you don't really think about it, that you want to be famous like that person. You want to be liked by those people. You want to be right. Like those are all the ego things, where if you're being led, you think about what that person's trying to accomplish in this life. You look at how they're treating other people and you go, that's how I want to be. So you're being led by them. You're not like the little lemmings that jump off the cliff. Right? You're being led by them. So I don't want people to follow me. I want people to be led by me. Honestly, I've never followed anybody. I just haven't ever. I've been led by people, but I've never followed my entire life. I didn't know that concept until obviously I got older. But when I was younger, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do drugs. And so people thought I was better than everybody else. And I said, here's the difference. They come to my level. When they're around me, I don't drop to their level. And so if they just got how amazing they were, they would stay at that level, but they don't believe in themselves enough. And so I got along with nerds and turds and freaks and jocks and everybody in high school, because they were people I grew up with, and then they went a different path because they didn't believe that they deserved to be who they were. They wanted to be like somebody else. And I don't want to be anybody else. I am me. And that's being led. Don't be a follower, be led.
And so piggybacking on that, then what does it mean to be the change?
Well, that's the Gandhi quote, right? Yeah, you need to be the change that you wish to see in the world. So if I want more peace, I need to be peaceful. If I want more love, I need to be loving. If I want there to be a better healthcare system, I need to be the best doctor possible. If I'm looking for things to to be better, then I have to be better. You know, it's kind of like the quote we talked about earlier, is you can't attract what you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I attract good patients if and I want patients that are willing to pay me, they trust me, they believe in me. If I don't believe in those things, if I don't trust myself, if I don't think I'm worthy of that, I can't attract what I'm not. So if I'm going to attract good, I'll put it this way, when I have great clients in my clinic, which is 99% of the time, it's because I'm in a good place. When I'm not in a good place, and I found this afterwards, right? And one of my friends is like, I'm telling him about one of my patients, whatever. And he goes, well, why'd you attract that patient? I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't attract her. She called me. He goes, no, you attract her. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this was a real epiphany for me. This is about 20 years ago. And he says, but why did she choose you? He goes, what did you do to attract her? So I'll just go back to a study that I'd heard about where they took prison inmates and they were all convicted of sexual assault. And they saw a video of 100 women, 10 women. There were 100 men in prison, and they did this several times, but they took 10 women and they had them videotape as they were walking towards the camera. And some of them were black, some were tall, some were white, some were Hispanic, some had big boobs, some had small boobs, some had, hardly any clothes on, some, had fully dressed. And so how did 85% of those men, 85 of the 100 chose one woman every time? The one woman they chose every time was the one who'd been sexually assaulted. So my thing is, what does she give off on camera, not in live person, but on camera that she gives off that says, I'm the weakest, I deserve this, whatever. And I'm not saying that she brought it upon herself in the sense of like she deserves it, but like her belief was, because she's been attacked before, that like she's damaged goods, and Orly has a story like that. And so you'll go around creating the life that you maybe don't want, but it's the life that you attract or the life that you think about, because you're attracting the people into your life that you believe that you're worthy of. And so, my thing is that if we can change our thought processes and change our underlying beliefs, we can create anything we want in this lifetime.
Right.
But you got to believe that. If you don't believe that, then that's not possible either.
Right. Because when we're in that place with that kind of mindset, it's the thoughts that we have. They in turn then drive our feelings, which dictate our actions, which then create our results. Right.
Which then does what? Reinforces those thoughts.
Absolutely.
And it just becomes this cycle that never ends. And so we all want to go and change our thoughts, but it's got to be a little bit of all of that. You've got to try to get at every realm of that. But the biggest one, I think, is the subconscious or non-conscious mind.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's where our work kind of similarly aligns, because we both do so much mindset work. And to your point earlier, I'm always thinking about the clients to whom I'm attracting. And first and foremost, I have to take a really hard look at myself and understand where I'm at in order to really make sure that I'm in that best place to serve my clients, without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, Wayne Dyer had a great quote when he was working with people, and his thing was, if all of your problems are someone else, like, so for instance, if it's your mother-in-law that's a problem, and then it's your one patient that comes in, and then it's your neighbor, you got to go get counseling for all those people. Yeah. If it's you, that people think that's disempowering, but that's very empowering, because then all you have to do is work on one person. You change that one person and things will change. So I had a patient come in, she's a nurse, beautiful lady. And I said to her, so what's going on with you? And she's telling me about her issues and stuff like that. And I said, what's going on at work? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, do you like work? And she goes, well, I go, why'd you hesitate? She goes, well, I love my work. I love my work. I can't stand this one coworker. She verbally vomits on me every day. I said, well, great. Why did you attract that? She said, what? I don't even know her. I'm like, okay, so why did you bring? She goes, I didn't. I've never asked her to talk to me. She started talking to me. I said, I know, I get that. I'm not blaming you. This is about responsibility. Do you have the ability to respond to what's happening? And I said, so that's responsibility. You do have the ability to respond. She goes, well, what do I do? I said, set up a proverbial bubble around yourself and just don't let her negative energy seep into your body, right? And then work on yourself to see, why are you attracting that? And so she does that. Within a week, the lady leaves and starts talking to someone else on her same floor. And she's like, that was crazy. So I said, now you have another decision. You either need to tell that other person what you did so they can do that, or you need to, let her stay there and let her verbally vomit on the other nurse. I said, but do you see how that you're attracting what's in your life? And that's very empowering to me, because then all I have to do is work on one person as opposed to the multitudes of people in our life.
Yep. No, good point. All right. So here was one other thing that we absolutely have to talk about today. And
What's that?
so if you are not part of my email list, you need to get on it because you get great information about these upcoming interviews and stuff like that. But I sent out this little line that you had sent to me in prep for the interview, and it was all about the difference between living a life versus living an LIE hyphen F.
Yeah.
And so just talk to us about the difference between the two.
I'm glad that resonated with people because I actually got that from a really good friend of mine, Joey Bellis, and very, very, very thoughtful guy, very deep guy. And so, most people exist in a life, right? As opposed to living, capital letters, all living life, all capital letters. And so, are you existing in a life? In other words, are you living up to the expectations of what you were sent here to do? If you're in the trance, I don't believe that meditation is getting into the trance. I believe meditation gets you out of the trance, because I think the trance is where we live or exist in a life. And that is that we don't believe we're good enough. We're not smart enough. We can't create wealth. We can't help other people. We can't do all this. There's not enough to go around. I'm not meant to be happy, and I'm not meant to, I'm meant to be heavy, and all these other programs that we have that we've designed or people put into us over our lifetime. And so my thing is that when you do that personal development work, you actually live life instead of existing in a life. And I got that from my buddy, Joey Bellis. And I've lived that for the last 10 years because he gave it to me 10 years ago. And I'm like, dude, I love that. I told him, I said, I'm going to steal this. I'm going to use it. I'll give you credit, but I said, I'm going to steal it because that is absolutely phenomenal. I love that concept. And I don't even know if he's still teaching it, but just a great human being, a good friend of mine. And it just resonates with a lot of people when I give that, because they think about that like, wow, same letters, but totally different meaning. And I'm like, I know, right?
Yeah. I had never seen that before until you had emailed that to me. And it really was. So it was one of those kind of things that it just kind of like wham, like hits you upside the head.
Yeah.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense. Now, of course, just side note, the whole 3 rules about public speaking when you're sharing information like that. The first time you say it it's like, hey, I want to credit this particular person, and you name them. And then the second time you say it, you're like, I got this from somewhere. And then you just kind of say it. And the third time you own it as your own.
That's funny. So, I think a lot of people, they own it the first time they say it, even though they stole it from somebody else,
right?
Right? Yeah.
Always try to give.
Here's my thing. There's nothing new out there, right? So he probably didn't even come up with it. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, right? Doesn't matter. There's nothing new out there. It's about putting a different spin on it. It's like the technology I use in my clinic. I didn't create the technology. I just found people smarter than myself, and then I package it in the way that really works for me and for my clients. And we get amazing results because we package it individually for them, just like your coaching. It's individualized. It's not one size fits all.
Exactly. Well, Jon, we are getting close to time. And so with that, the last question I always ask my guests is this. So what advice would you give to someone to create their next advancement opportunity?
Be very simple. Before you go to sleep at night, you give gratitude for the things that happened that day. And I'm talking like the last 5 minutes before you start to drop into that, that dreamland. You give thanks for the things that happened that day, but then you add to it and you give gratitude for the things you want to transpire the next day. That's the magic, I think, because, well, I know it's the magic because I for instance, will say, I'm really grateful for, these things that happened today. And I'm grateful for the 5 new patients that will call me tomorrow to come in and see me. Okay. They do that, but some don't schedule for 2 weeks. Okay. So sometimes I have to make it a little bit more specific and say the 5 new patients that will call to come in and see us this week. And then sometimes I'll say, okay, that's not specific enough. And I make it more specific, but I'm telling you, it's like a charm when we do that. The phone will ring. Now I've never used 100, so I can't say that it'll work if I use 100, because I don't know if I even believe in that. Right. But the belief is I know 5, I can do that. I can create 5 new patients tomorrow. And then 5 really good patients that I can help. Patients that really want the full aspect of the brain stuff. So the mental part, the emotional part, and the physical part. And that's what we're really about. And so those would be the things I would say, is that when you go to sleep at night, give gratitude for the things you want to transpire the next day. And it could be magical. If you do it every single day, it's magical.
Well said. I like that. It's always nice to come from a place of gratitude, without a doubt.
Always. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Jon. So thank you so much for your time today. So if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to reach out and connect?
So they could go to, they could email me at drporman@gmail.com. So that's dr.porman@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or they could go to my speaking site, which is drpinspires.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or for the health and holistic stuff, they could go to sportsdocs.az. There you go, sportsdocsaz.com. And they got pages on there. They could get a hold of me there too if they want. But if they just want to see some content, they could do that. Or they could just email me and give me some information. I could try to help them out best I can.
Great. Awesome. And both of your websites, your email address we'll have in the show notes as well for people. So I want to thank you again for being part of the show today. It was really great having you on. Everybody, if you liked the video today, please make it a point to click the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button so you get notified of more interviews, as well as some of the show up video shorts we'll be doing as well. And if you need to reach out to me for anything, you can always do so at john@johnneural.com. So Jon Porman, thanks again for being a great guest.
Awesome.
I really appreciate you. And hopefully we will get a chance to share a much larger stage than this in the very near future.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I look forward to it. All right. Jon, have a great rest of the day. Thanks again. And everyone, thanks again as well. And I'll see you next week with another interview. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.